So the first question I have is, what is the most dangerous thing you've done or dangerous situation you've been in, and why? Brad. Michael.
Michael's starting.
I'm starting.
Well, you started talking before me, so go ahead.
Okay. Most dangerous situation I've ever been in was the question that I heard. Most dangerous thing I've done. Okay. When I was a freshman in college, this is going to be so, when I was a freshman in college, I was leaving a girl's apartment and I was a little tipsy and I decided to slide on my butt down the railing of the stairs.
Really,
she was on the fourth floor. I got on there and I went over backwards. And I did a flip in a stairwell and landed on my feet and my foot and my butt on the bottom, 4 stories down on the bottom stair.
God.
Wait, you fell 4 stories, landed on your feet, and
on my feet, on my foot and my ass.
Foot.
You landed on your butt 4 stories down.
I fractured my foot. Yes. I fractured my foot and I had a bruise on my butt the size of my left butt cheek, but that was it.
Oh, so, did you call her and be like, "Hey, I just fell down the stairs," or did you sneak out?
No, she called me the next day. I had to go to the hospital. She called me the next day and was like, "Did you hear what happened at Trop?" This is last night. Some guy fell 4 stories. I was like,
"You don't say."
That was mean. That was one of my first times. I was like, if there's not a God, I don't know what the heck just happened there, because I should have died.
That's crazy. That's 4 stories. Yeah. No, thank you. No, thank you.
No. It was bad.
Brad.
I mean, I was thinking about this a lot. And I'm trying to think of how to answer this question. Like, what does any memory really stick out in my mind? And I don't know. I was always physical risks. I've always been pretty averse to. I don't know. When I was a kid, taking those risks, jumping off stuff, whatever. I was really scared. Lake Austin, we had a boat when I was growing up on Lake Austin, and there was a cliff that my brothers would jump off of. And when I finally got to the age where I could do it, I went up there and they had to yell at me for an hour before I would jump off. I was so terrified of jumping into the water. But probably the most dangerous shit that I've done is stuff that I'm not proud of. It's not a cool story where I fall 4 stories and, just break my foot like I'm some sort of superhuman. It kind of sounds like a Terrence Howard story, to be honest. But I mean, I've done. I mentioned the other week when we were talking about race that when I was in New Orleans, experiencing racism, I was dressed, for Halloween downtown or on Bourbon Street or whatever it was, and there was a group of I really think that if I hung around longer, that group of African American gentlemen would have really badly hurt me. That was, I think, a close call. I've driven absolutely plastered many times in my 20s, and that's disappointing. And gosh, I hope my children don't do that same stupid thing. But fuck, it was literally, I don't know how I got home. And I think we probably all have those stories. I hesitate to even bring it up publicly, but I mean, it is what it is. Luckily, nothing happened, and I do mean luckily. I've eaten blowfish. Does that count as dangerous? I don't know.
I mean, can't they slice it wrong and you die? I mean,
yeah. But I wasn't in fear of my life. Well, I just, everyone else is eating it, and I'll eat it. Sure, why not? I don't know. I guess I could have died. I could have got the piece that was bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of I can't think. Nothing sticks out. I fell 4 stories.
I mean, you just named a handful of things.
Are those cool stories? I don't know.
It doesn't have to be cool. It's just one where your life was put in danger, or you put yourself in danger for some purpose.
I mean, my life has been in danger of no fault of my own. Does that count?
Yeah, it's a dangerous situation.
Okay, well, I was born with a heart condition, and it was corrected when I was 9, maybe 8 or 9, 8, no, 7, 8, whatever. I don't know. And what would happen is I couldn't have excessive amounts of sugar or caffeine or any sort of stimulant up until I had that corrective surgery. And because what would happen is my heart would start beating really fast to like go up to the maximum and just not stop. So like when you're doing a sprint, your heart rate elevates to its maximum heart rate, and your body physiologically is telling you you can only maintain this for so long, and once you can't do it anymore, your body forces you to stop. Like you can't keep going. My heart would just keep going and keep beating. And if we couldn't stop it, then I would have to go to the hospital because it would stop beating. There was a lot of stuff that we could do at home. You could dunk I would dunk my face into ice, like an ice bath, and I could feel my heart like reset.
Wow. Just
the shock of it. But I think when I was maybe 6 or 7, and this was kind of like the final straw, like for my mom, my heart, everything we did at home would not stop the heart racing. And so they took me to the hospital, and my heart stopped beating for a considerable amount of time, and they had to use the paddles.
Oh, wow.
To bring. Do you remember being dead?
I mean, I have vague, like very blurry memories of like that moment in my life, but I don't remember being dead. No, I remember like instances where that happened in my life. Like I was at a movie theater once and my heart started racing and I had to leave. I remember vividly many times dunking my head in ice water and how uncomfortable that was. And like the strange sensation of my heart beating super, super fast and all of a sudden like resetting was kind of weird. I remember the surgery the day after. I also remember choosing banana flavored anesthesia, which was a huge mistake. And I flipped the fuck out as I was going under. Like they had to tie me down. It smelled so bad. I hated it.
Yeah, I don't know why you banana flavor.
I was a kid and they gave me options like, hey, these are the flavors that you can choose from. It's like blueberry, strawberry, banana, vanilla. I don't know. And I just chose banana. How the fuck am I supposed to know what anesthesia is going to taste like?
Banana.
So okay. Banana. And ever since then, whenever I get like a whiff or like that sort of flavor, maybe it's dissipated since then, but like for a long time, it would make me feel like icky.
Interesting. Damn, it's a handful of dangerous moments you've been in. But glad you made it through them all.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Charles.
Anytime.
What you got, Charles?
Oh, let's see. Okay, so I think I don't know if I talked about this on the show, but I think I told you guys when I was in Guatemala in that shootout. I think that was one of the more dangerous times. I think, but probably the most dangerous thing I've been in. I was in. Oh man, I graduated high school. I was probably like 21, 22. I used to drive into New York to go to the clubs and stuff, but for whatever reason this time we took like the bus. And we were going to like a rave at a warehouse. And so we were in the city until like 5 a.m. And now we take the bus back. No, I'm sorry. It wasn't 5 a.m. It was like 2 or 3 a.m. because we got the last bus out of the city back to New Jersey. But the bus took this like long roundabout way. And we were in like this town called Patterson, which is like the ultimate hood. And the bus was like, this is it. Like, this is final stop. Like, you guys got to get out. And our phones were dead, like on 1%. They weren't dead yet, but like 1%. It was me and two of my friends. And we're in the middle of Patterson, like at 2:33 in the morning. Like, what are we supposed to do? He's like, I don't know. You got to get out. So we get out and we're walking down the street and we have like a little bit of services before Uber, before anything. So we call a taxi service and no one's on the street, but we're walking down the street towards like the direction of where we live. We were like 20 miles from home, but like we were walking the direction and we come across this gas station and there's like 30 guys at this gas station and they're all like in their like Civics and Acuras and they're out there having a good time.
Are they Asian?
No, they were black. It's a pretty black neighborhood. And so it's the three of us walking on the side of the street. We look across the street. We see these like 30 guys over there having the time of their life. And we see them kind of get quiet and look at us and we're like, fuck. Like, this is like and so my friend Chris is like, where's this cab? I'm like, I don't know. So we're walking and they all start walking over to us. And I'm like, this is going to fucking end terribly. By the grace of God, like by the time they got to the end of the street and we got ready to start running, we see this cab coming down the street. It was the only car in the street. We're like, thank God. And we got in that car and got away. I don't know what would have happened, but it wasn't going to end pretty. I can tell you that.
Sounds like a Guatemalan shootout is worse than that.
I mean, I don't know. Getting jumped is not fun.
No, of course not. No one's saying it's fun. That reminds me of a story, but go ahead, Michael.
Oh, I was gonna say I'll have to tell you guys about the time I got robbed at gunpoint.
Why is that not your story? You fell 4 stories. That's interesting. You fell 4 stories on my brother's foot. You got robbed at gunpoint.
I should have died in that stairwell.
And maybe get shot.
How do you flip? Never mind. We've gone back, and the stairwell is not that wide, and I'm big. And like, how did I flip? I've gone over this. Anyways,
yeah.
I'll tell you the story of getting held up at gunpoint. It's not that good of a story, but it happened.
My dad took me and a friend to a movie here in Austin. I was maybe 8 years old, 9 years old. Dropped us off, maybe 10. I don't know. Probably 10. And he dropped us off. And this was back in the day of pagers. And he gave me a quarter or whatever to use the payphone to page him when we're done and just page 911. And he knows that's us. And we need to come get picked up when the movie's done. And the movie got out at maybe, I don't know, 9, 10 p.m. And he didn't show up. We must have been in middle school. He didn't show up when I paged him. Another story of my dad. And so we just walked home down Lamar, like a super busy street, miles in the middle of the night, like 2 10-year-olds just hanging out, thinking nothing of it. No big deal. There was no threat of like being jumped, but I mean, I guess something bad could happen.
At 10, walking down the street at that hour.
Yeah.
You never know. Well, those are some interesting stories, fellas. All right. So next, I
figured y'all would take a bigger bite out of that story about my dad, considering the one I told last week.
Well, I'm not gonna. Yeah.
I know.
We need a whole.
Michael's wheels are turning.
We're gonna have a whole show dedicated to daddy issues.
Oh God. Father's Day's